Hello guys, I hope you're all fine. Today we are here to discuss about K-means clustering example problem. Here the problem is given like use K-means clustering algorithm to divide the following data into two clusters. These are all data points given. Here it is given like k is equal to 2. It is given that k is equal to 2. K equals to 2, which means we should select two cluster centers randomly. Here I selected 2 comma 1 as cluster center 1 v1 and 2 comma 3 as cluster center v2. Now we should draw this kind of tabular form. Here I wrote in the data points. These are all data points. Like 1 comma 1, 2 comma 1, 2 comma 3, 3 comma 2, 3 comma 2, 4 comma 3, 5 comma 5. These are all data points. I wrote them here here, and here I took v1 equals to 2 comma 1 as cluster center 1, which means here I will find the distance between a1 and v1, then a2 and v1, a3 and v1, and so on. I will write the distances here. Then after this I will find the distance between the data points and the data center 2. Here I will find the distance between a1 and v2, a2 and v2, a3 and v2, v2, and so on. In this way I will write these distances here, and after this I will check which one is minimum for a1. For a1, v1 is minimum. There is minimum distance between a1 and v1, so I will write here v1. If v2 is minimum, here if we observe here v2 is minimum, so I will write v2. In this way I will write v1 and v2's here. So then after this I will write clusters of v1 as a2, a1, and if you observe here the clusters of v1 are a1 and a2 and a4. I will write these here. And if you observe here the clusters of v2 are a3, a5, a6. I will write these all here. Now we should find the we should recalculate the cluster centers by taking average of cluster data points. Here the cluster data points of v1 are a1, a2, a4. We should find the average of these data points. Here a1 is 1 comma 1, a2 is 2 comma 1, a4 is 3 comma 2. We will find the average of these data points. If we find the average of these data points, we will get like v1 equals to 2 comma 1.33. If we find the average of the data points of v2, a3 plus a5 plus a6 divided by 3, then we will get the value of v2 as 3.67 comma 3.67. Now we should repeat these all steps. From step 2. Once again guys, we should repeat these all steps from step 2. These all steps from step 4 until we get the same cluster elements or cluster center. If you observe here, we will write it again like this. We will write it like this. We will write this table form again. Here we will note these data points as given in the question. Then here the cluster center 1 is v1 is this one is the v1. The cluster center of v1 is 2 comma 1.33, whereas the cluster center v2 is 3.67 comma 3.67. This is the ascent center. Now we will find the distance between a1 and v1, a2 and v1, a3 and v1, and so on. We will find the distances and we will note these distances values. And after this we will find the distance between a1 and v2, a1 and v2, a2 and v2, and so on. We will note these distances. Then we will check which one is minimum. Here 1.05 is minimum, which means v1 is minimum. v1 have minimum distance from a1, so we will write here v1. In this way we will write these all basing on which is minimum here, which is the distance, which are minimum distances. Then if you observe here, the cluster the cluster 1 of B1 is A1, A2, A3, A4, whereas the cluster of V2 is A5 and A6. Then if you observe this one, guys, if you observe this one, and if you observe this one, these two guys, yeah, on start music. If you observe these two, this one and here this one, yeah, if you observe those two, then we can say that these two are not similar. This one and this one are not similar, guys. So we should calculate again. We should recalculate the cluster center again, and until we get to, we should repeat the step 1 to step 5 until we get same cluster center or same cluster elements. So we should repeat it again. So now at first, as I told you, we should recalculate the cluster center. For V1, if you see here, for V1, the cluster elements are, the cluster data points are A1, A2, A3, A4. We will find the average of these to find the cluster centers. Here V1 equals to 1 by 4 into A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4. Then we will get V1 equals to 2 comma 1.75. Here V2 equals to 1 by 2 into A5 plus A6. We will get like V2 equals to 4.5 comma 4. Here if you observe here, this cluster center 2.2 comma 1.75, 4.5 comma 4. These two cluster centers are not same to these cluster centers. As cluster centers are not same, we will repeat the step 2 to step 5 again, guys. We will repeat the step 2 to step 5 again. Then as it is given in the step 2, we will write this table form again, guys. We will note these data points from question. Then here we found the new cluster center as 2 comma 1.75. So we will write it here, and another cluster center is V2 is 4.5 comma 4. We will write it here. Then we will find the distance between A1 and V1, A2 and V1, and we will note those distances here. We will find the distances between these data points and V2. Then we will note the distances here. Then we will check which one have minimum distance from A1. Here 1.25 is minimum, so we will write here V1. In this way we will write these all based on these two values. Then if you observe here we got clusters as cluster for V1 is A1 and A2 and A3 and A4, whereas the clusters for V2 is A5 and A6. If you observe here, yeah, look at me, guys. If you observe here, the cluster of V1 equals to A1, A2, A3, A4. Whereas here, if you observe here, the cluster 1 of V1 is A1, A2, A3, A4. And if you observe here, the cluster 2 of V2 is A5, A6. If you observe here, the cluster 2 of V2 is A5, A6. The cluster centers, guys. We got the same cluster elements. We got here, yeah, we got here, and here we got same cluster elements, guys. So we can stop it here. Then we will write the cluster elements as cluster 1. The elements of cluster 1 are A1, which means 1 comma 1, 2 comma 1, and A3 is 2 comma 3, A4 is 3 comma 2, and the cluster 2 elements are A5 4 comma 3 and A6 5 comma 5. These are all final clusters to K-means clusters, guys. This is the example problem of K-means cluster elements, guys. I hope you understand, guys. Thank you.